Oh, our lovely lady says it's recording in progress. So everybody knows that I don't edit these, just FYI. So you're going to hear like, oh, no joke. I'll have a funny story. So welcome to the Proptech Genius Show. I have a funny story on my second episode. Did you see at the very end, Kate, where I was like trying to like at the end, I was like the dude from what was it? Like I have kids, right? So it was the Penguin Show, and John Malkovich is the octopus, and he comes in, he's trying to be evil, and in the end, he's like, wait, where's the stop button? Like, where's the and I'm like, totally, I'm like Dave the octopus because at the end of there, I was like, where's the damn record button? I don't have the glasses.
I love
And I
it.
truly don't edit it. So it is at the end of the second
At the end,
episode of me
it was
going,
great. I saw it. It was it was great.
I'm
The
like,
best part
oh,
was sort of you enjoying the humor in it at the very end and that
oh
smile.
yeah.
It was like, ah, got it. Now I figured it out.
There it is. Damn it. Okay. Yeah, no, seriously. I was like, oh man, that was hilarious. And it was like, well, you know what? I say I'm not going to edit them. I'm not going to edit them. So
I love it.
so there you go. All right. So PropTech Genius Show. You are, what number are you? I think you're five. Five?
Yay.
Yeah, you're top 10. So it's all good.
That's
All
amazing.
good. Yeah, and so it's really, really cool. And I think you're six actually. I'm
Okay.
losing count. I probably should stop counting at this point. I'm talking to a lot of people, but I'm so glad to have a girl on the show. It's so
Yay.
awesome. There are not enough of us out in the prop tech world doing fun things. So this is really, really cool. So Prop Tech Genius Show. My guest is Kate Ritter. Awesome, awesome person. And we're going to talk. What are we going to talk? We're going to talk about kind of your journey, who you are, how you started it, picking a CTO, which is always
Yes.
so much fun, raising
Yes.
capital, which is never any fun. Never, never fun. And then just kind of where you're at, what you're doing, what problem are you solving, and we're all of us women are very ingenious. We probably you and I both have something very very practical, and
Oh,
it's
I love
so
it.
funny, it's so cool. So yeah, so I'm gonna let you take it away and let you introduce yourself, and we'll kind of go from there. So yeah,
Love it.
yeah.
Well, so my journey is actually kind of a funny one in that for 15 years, I worked as a makeup artist for luxury brands, magazines, red carpets. But ultimately, what that did was like fine tune my skill set for branding. So I was fortunate to be a part of art direction in a lot of cases to ensure that the final product accurately advertised what they were trying to advertise, and not distract from what was being sold. So if you look at an ad and you're trying to figure out what are they actually selling, is it the lipstick she's wearing or is it a purse? I have no idea. That was very much a part of my process.
Funny.
Simultaneously, my husband and I furnished, marketed, and managed 5 Airbnb properties in 2 different states. And then I also worked with my mom to do the same with her 5 properties. So interior design and real estate and jumping on opportunities is definitely in my DNA. We actually say our family motto is with passion or not at all.
Hey,
And
there
that
you go. That's
is
a great
very,
one.
very accurate. And especially with short-term rentals, it's so much about the photos for getting those bookings, like, or even just any kind of interest. So you have to really make sure you have excellent photos. COVID obviously brought some changes. I had 2 sons at home at the time, and my agent for makeup, she shut down her agency. Everyone I knew in my industry was leaving and trying something new. Nobody knew what was going to be happening to all things, advertising, and because all of that is so close quarters. So it was very much this like, what's happening? And 2 years go by and we're all still trying to figure out what to do. So during that time, my husband was managing over 80 extremely high producing listing agents. And so I'm seeing his photos come through for these properties that they're putting on the MLS. And I
Mhm.
was really shocked at what they had and what they were working with. So that is kind of where HomeKind, the heartbeat started. I was like, we got to figure this out. looked into staging, and that seemed like a nightmare just to figure out how to do staging from like just the structural standpoint of getting all of the inventory and how are you going to house it all. So then I shifted to looking into virtual staging, started working kind of on my own, and then started learning about the history of virtual staging, that most of the time it's an add-on service for photographers. And even then, usually they're outsourcing outside the country. So they're missing those nuances of, you know, suburban areas versus downtown, and in each city. Austin is where we are, and it has a very unique vibe from both downtown and outside. And if you're trying to really market to who could be the home buyer, you know, that's missing a lot right there. So I started working and bringing on different interior designers to help me. They wanted to do it, and you know, they could do it from their computer at home and try and start working on it. And it was having a really big impact on sales. So homes that were one of our clients that brought us on, they chose to put virtual staging in every home that was sitting for 60 days or longer. So it was this perfect test case, right? Because it's been sitting empty 60 days, no interest, nothing. And then we would do virtual staging, and they would go under contract and have backup offers. And so it was like, okay, we're doing something right here.
It's working. So
It's working,
exactly.
you
That's
know, and
cool.
I think at the end of the day, it's helping people really. I think I've found some studies that are 80% or higher of people who say that they cannot visualize this space.
Yeah.
They might be able to see colors, but then they can't figure out room flow, or they couldn't. And if
Right.
you're flipping through all those listings, you're trying to figure out, where's my sofa and my TV going to go at bare minimum?
Mhm.
Like, is this a weird room? And how would this play out? And so our goal and kind of mantra became this phrase, you know, residence resonance, wanting to help buyers imagine themselves in the home. And if they can look at those photos and start seeing, oh, that'd be really fun kitchen to host holiday, you know, to
Oh,
prepare
sure.
meal, or if that's where we could be having a backyard barbecue, or if that's, you know, fill in the blank of whatever it is, then
Mhm.
they are so much more likely to book a showing. And you know, that's the magic kind of sweet spot of this like moment. So my designers kept coming back to me and asking for really specific things. Can we get these kind of choices with what we're using? Can we have more styled of, you know, everything from, can we have more piano offerings so that we can have music rooms, or can we have anything to kind of connect those dots of who could the story be of the person who lives in this house? And then on the other side, the buyer's agents were coming back and saying, my client loved that sofa. Is it real? Can we get that sofa for this property? How do we connect those dots, you know? So it seems so simple, but it was like, okay, we need to do this. We need to create a technology that like can fit the side of the designer, and then also for the buyer to really get to now they have that 30 to 60 day, or maybe sometimes 90-day close that they're just sitting waiting anxiously.
Right.
You know, when do I get to move in? And the whole time they're going back to those listing photos. Maybe they're visiting the space and measuring, and they're trying to figure out what they're going to do. This is a perfect moment for us to kind of help guide them through that process. So in December of 2022 was my first meeting with who became my CTO.
Mhm.
And I had had many meetings prior to that, but this meeting, he was honestly the first developer who didn't laugh me out of the room. And that
Wow.
alone was powerful, right? It was like,
Right.
okay, he doesn't think I'm crazy. Like, he's
Yeah.
like, challenge accepted. Let's see how this goes. And so I
Good.
didn't know what I was asking would be the most challenging thing of all,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it
Good.
definitely he's been an incredible partner in the process. So yeah, so we started building technology at that point. And I say started building it. Honestly, there was so much research that went into it. It's probably only been about 9 months of actual building. but we are at this point, I can say we're patent pending. So
Woo-hoo! That is so cool.
it's very exciting.
Awesome. Yeah.
So yeah,
And you're solving, and you were solving this, you said that people were, there was competitions around it, but taking a 2D image, like a
yes,
picture, and
yes,
turning into a 3D, rendering, basically,
yes,
is what you were trying
yes.
to solve. Yeah.
Yes. So
Yeah.
we needed to be able to technically creating 3D environments to an image has always been like a very manual process. So people are using AutoCAD or SketchUp or whatever, and they're having to create kind of the photo is inspiration for then they're creating a whole new environment to then stage or do whatever with. I really wanted it to be very simple that someone could just feel like they were drag and drop, options into the space. And so my CTO, Travis is his name. He came to me about 3 months into the process and he said, do you realize exactly what you're saying? Do you realize that this is a running competition slash joke amongst developers online to be able to accurately do this from one image? And I said, no, but we can do it.
Exactly. Exactly. It's the same thing I do with my CTO all the time. I'm like, oh yeah, we can do it. It's like we're like, oh, we think tech can do everything and there's no limitations. And we push the envelope and push the envelope, right? Because that's kind of who we are. And
Yeah.
my CTO is like, Amy, slow your roll, man. Like, come on. Like, seriously, tech can't solve every problem. I'm like, why not? Like,
Why
yes,
not?
why not?
Just
Come on,
a
let's go.
little more
Like, let's,
time.
yeah.
I would say, and this is where it could be interesting, but at least in my household, right? I have two sons and a husband,
Mhm.
and I know that they might walk past a stack of items on the stairs for days and not realize, And mom, wife, whatever, I'm like, I'm grabbing. It's the same way of getting all the groceries out of the car from the grocery store. Like one trip, we have urgency. We're
Yes.
making. I might have marks on my
All
arm
the way up your arm.
on
Like,
the way up. Why not? Why can't we do this? Let's go. So I appreciated Travis because he was willing to run with me. He's like,
yeah.
okay, let's go for it. I think we can figure it out. And if it's not that way of figuring out, we can do it this way. And he's always very honestly excited about a new challenge.
Mhm.
So that has been just a tremendous, that's how we've gotten, I think, as far as we have, but we really are doing something unique in that 2D to 3D environment.
Yeah.
And so it's been a fun it's been a fun journey for
Yeah.
sure. I would
Yeah.
actually really love to hear how you found your CTO.
Well, I was very lucky. So I've been in Austin since 1999. And I actually met Steve, no joke, back in 99. I met him.
Really?
I was working at IBM, and I was doing mergers and acquisitions, and we were and so I was doing the transition after the fact. Like IBM had bought Tivoli, and IBM had bought this little company called Dascom, and they were trying to merge the security software units together and get them to sing kumbaya. So my job was to get them to sing kumbaya. Like, okay, let's all play together, be nice.
Yeah.
We have one common goal, one common mission, and they were still trying to hire who the leader was, and they were still trying to do all this stuff. And it's like, Tivoli hated IBM. I sat in all hands meetings where the CEO of Tivoli was bashing IBM. I'm like, dude,
Oh.
you're so fired. Like you were. So it was that environment. And we're trying to get this security software unit to and Dascom, the little tiny Australian company, had the technology everybody wanted. Like it pretty much and so it was interesting to get them to all kind of play. But I met Steve because he was working at Dascom.
Okay.
And so I was like, and I still have friends from
That's
that time. So, him and Bob Blakely and some other folks that were in that environment, and we were trying to
high
figure it all
intensity.
out. Yeah. And oh my gosh, just like brain damage. And so I met Steve then. And so every once in a while, I would have these like harebrained ideas, and I'd call up Steve. I'm like, Steve, what do you think about this? He's like, no, 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 that's not a good idea. Right. And then And I've had a couple of them over the years, but then finally I had this idea, and no joke, I didn't even wait for Steve. Like I found a development team in India, and I went and like we had started, and we finally got to the point where I was like, okay, I can't help anymore. Like I was guiding the product, they gave me a scope of work, I was paying for, but then I was like, okay, but now we got to change stuff. And I don't know, how do I prioritize this? I really need a CTO. So guess
Yeah.
who I called? I called Steve. I was like, hey, Steve, I got this idea. Come on, we got to talk. And so he goes, Amy, this is a really good idea. I'm like, I know.
I know. I love
I
that.
know. I'm so glad you believe me. Same thing. You believed in me. And he was
Mhm.
like, yes, we can figure this out. Oh, and he goes, and then he started thinking and he's like, oh, we can do this and we do this. And then he started tinkering and he was trying to solve the problem. No joke. At the lunch table we were at,
I
we're
love it.
eating
Oh,
lunch
I
and
love
like
it.
pulling out a napkin and we were solving the problem. Right. I
Yeah.
mean, and I was like, yeah, let's do that. And then we could do this with it. And we do this with it. And it's so funny because I love Steve and his wife, Beth. And like, I'll like, I'll get these harebrained ideas. He's like, Amy, whenever you get him, just text me. It's fine. Doesn't matter. And so he'll text me. I don't think he realized what he asked for or what he gave me permission to do. Because I will text him at like, no joke, 2 a.m. Because you get the best
Yeah.
ideas at
Oh
2 in the
yeah.
morning. And he'll get a text message, and Beth's like, who's texting you in the middle of the night? He goes, who do you think it is? It's Amy.
It's Amy.
It's Amy texting some idea that she came up with that needs to. Yeah, so no, but the same thing. You have to have a CTO that believes in you. They're your co-founder. They're going to
Mhm.
lead the technology. They're going to be able to tell you what this. I get asked this all the time. I'm a founder, like, and people like are asking, so what's your tech stack? And I'm like, I don't know what my tech stack is. Are you kidding me? I just tell them what to make. I just like, go
Yeah.
make, I just wanted to do this. And so
When you
so I laugh. I'm like, that's a CTO question.
that's a different lane. We will
Yeah,
pass it
definitely.
to, I
Yeah.
am a strong believer in that. In
Yeah.
knowing what my strengths are and my weaknesses and then stacking my team accordingly
Oh
to know
yeah.
like I could
Yeah.
try and fit this box and figure out the answers to your questions, but I genuinely believe it's best for all of us if you talk to the right person.
Exactly.
You know, let's
Because I'll
connect
tell you
you.
something completely stupid and I don't want anyone to go there. I'm not going to
Yeah,
waste time with
I'm
that.
not gonna waste time. Oh, for sure. Gosh, that's incredible. And
Yeah.
especially the starting point of trying to merge three different.
Oh, that's a whole, that's a 3 beer story. Like
Yeah,
that's not just a 1 beer
I
story. Or
love
three
it.
margaritas. Like
Three
it's,
margaritas.
oh
Yep.
my, oh my God. Like it was crazy, but it was fun. And it was, and actually, and I tell people that story now, and people don't realize, like, hey, Amy, that is actually very useful
Mhm.
knowledge. Knowing under how to do transitions after mergers and acquisitions, because you're in startup land.
Yeah,
Welcome to what mergers and acquisitions are. Like,
right. Yeah.
well, I kind of learned that, 25 years ago, but okay, all right, works for
Yeah,
me.
well, you learned it in a really amazing environment in that it
Yeah,
wasn't all on your shoulders. So it was like
yeah,
getting to
at
learn it from
peace.
that standpoint versus the pressure and intensity that kind of comes on the
But
founder.
it was also 1999 in Austin where it was party town. Like seriously, all you had to have, it's like AI now. All you have to have is .com after your name, and people were throwing money at you. Like
Oh man.
it was party town in Austin. Like it was crazy nuts. I remember we were out on the software on the .com loop. It's Loop 360 out by Courtyard Bridge. That was
Yeah,
the .com loop back then in the day in Austin. And it was, yeah, that was,
I
I
love
mean,
it.
everybody, and you talk to Steve, he was living in the middle of it. And he was like, yeah, our CEO is spending way too much money on stupid stuff. Like we had to have this big office and we had to have this and we had to have that and we had to like keep up with the Joneses. And I'm like, yeah, man, like, can you imagine how much further you could have gone
Yeah,
if you not
really.
had to do that? But that was the mantra back then. Totally. It was crazy town for sure.
Wow.
It's crazy, crazy.
Wow. On
Yeah.
that, do you have your team in an office? Are you guys?
No, I haven't had an office. It's really kind of odd, and I'm hoping like one of these days, when like VC's like, where's your office? And I'm like, at my house, like in the, like, office. What are you talking
Yeah.
about? That's that thing from back in the day, like it was like when the dinosaurs roamed the earth and people actually had to drive for hours and sit in traffic to walk over to a cubicle to
Mhm.
get onto a computer because they didn't have laptops they could take home with them to
Mhm.
go work with a bunch of people and then go sit in meetings where nobody else wanted to be there either, right? Because it could have been handled by an email. That's what
Right.
that was, right? It's like,
Yeah.
no, this kidding me?
Oh my gosh. That is,
Yeah.
I mean, it really is fascinating. And I
Yeah.
don't know that, so we obviously, because we're virtual, then we can provide services all over, there's no limit there. The one thing that I do when I'm kind of vetting my designers is at bare, have you traveled? It certainly helps if you've done some traveling to kind of understand what's going on
Mhm.
around you and what trends are, and where do you go to get inspiration, and are you capable of researching the area and what is interesting in that area before we put virtual staging into the home.
Which is
Because we
very
do, the
true.
whole point for us is very much home specificity. So wanting to make sure we're really connecting those dots to who might be interested in buying that home and really hitting that well, and that buyer profile. So but exactly, I mean, it would not be possible if we all had to be in the same space. I have designers all over the country and they're amazing, and they bring such fun flair to the project because we're not all sitting in the same space with the same inspiration and the same ideas about things.
Yeah.
So that's been really amazing, and it's helped truly kind of guide the tech, because then they're interested in things that I would not have thought of to be in our system for what they want to
Mhm.
do, or even brands that I'm not familiar with, that they are like, oh, this is the craze over here. What are you talking about?
Oh, that's
Everyone loves
really
this, or
cool.
whatever. Um,
Yeah.
we love the keep Austin weird stuff. And like Austin is definitely its own unique flavor of style and inspiration, but it's not everywhere. And so that's not going to connect in Arizona or in
Right.
Utah or Montana.
Or
So
even Miami. Miami's its own flair of, and if you're in Brickell and in the Art Basel district or whatever, Miami's has got its own thing. But even, yeah, so Austin, like the domain is different than downtown, which is different than Central
exactly.
Congress, which is different than Westlake, which is different, it's like different.
Yes.
So it's really, yeah, for sure. And like, I don't even know you realize this, but you're building up a great set of data
Mhm.
on around home preferences in certain markets. I mean, like that's at the end of the day, like
Yeah.
you can say this is what's resonating, this is what's trending, this is what's
Yeah.
working, and this
Exactly.
that's awesome.
Well, so that guides even one of the things that is a high priority for us right now is really connecting the dots with furniture companies. And
Mhm.
so not only is home kind of virtual is it's not only a powerful sales tool for real estate, but then it also has this opportunity to kind of be an integrated advertising platform for home retailers.
Oh
And
yeah,
so being able to say, do you realize that this sectional was placed this many times in this zip code?
exactly. Right.
Do you know
Exactly.
that? And then as well as so one of the things that we're creating in our process and what you can look forward to and seeing from HomeKind in the future, hopefully in the next 6 months or so, is in order to be able to, if you were looking at a listing site and you're going through your images, for there to be a live button that says stage this now, and for it to pull up our staging app right there on the screen. So then for the buyer's agent or whoever's the listing agent who's representing the property, someone who's taking the time to do that live on their system, they're more interested than your average
Yes.
person, right?
Right.
Because
Yes.
they're trying to figure out, will a sectional even work in this space? Would this even, okay, moving on to the next or whatever, or if they continue coming back. So you're right. The data is very important to us to try and kind of figure out, because from both the furniture side of things, of you know, hey, you might want to add some more of that sectional to this zip code to be available
For
for
sure.
sale,
Yeah.
you know, and then also
Yeah.
for the real estate side of it, it just is this like really powerful kind of moment that I don't know that has been connected before,
No,
between the
no. To be
two.
able to stage your own space and kind of figure it out before, and you can do it all sitting in your chair at home. Seriously, that is
Not
just,
breaking your back,
yeah,
moving.
I
Can we
know.
move
I
it
know.
there? Can we
Yeah.
move
Oh, I
it?
know. Totally.
You know, we
For
have
sure.
moved a lot.
Yeah,
So,
I know. I know for sure. That's like, yeah, I can see that on the TV. No, 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 to the left. No, no,
yeah.
no, to the right. No, no, no. Like, oh my gosh. But yeah, no, I mean, that's it. It's truly, yeah. And it just lends itself to a lot of it. I mean, you're connecting the spaces, right? You're connecting the realtors that they'll be able to sell stuff. The homeowners get to get a really good sense of feel before they buy that house. Will this work? And this is kind of what I like. And can I get, and so they're making, all they're doing is making a really educated decision. And so
Yes.
when they're ready to go, they're ready to go. Like we're not
Yeah.
messing around. We're good. Yeah. You know what I
Yes.
mean? And so
Yeah.
I can see like realtor.com and all the other MLS, the Realtors Association jumping all over this. But then, yeah, like you said, you're the connector between the home furnishing places and they would get in there too, for sure. That's just yeah, it's really, really cool. And then even not even on the home buying side, what about on the remodeling side? When
Mhm.
somebody can go to their, like, this is my house, I bought this a year ago, and they all want to change it anyway. Well, can I do this? And
Yeah.
what if I bought this furniture and oh, we got to put the Christmas tree here, and now we don't know where to stick the damn tree. And can we
Yeah.
move? They could just come back, and so they can be like a lifetime customer of yours over time. They
Right.
can just change
Yeah.
it. Yeah,
And
and
one of the other areas too, that because oftentimes they're exteriors of homes
yeah,
for real estate. So then also being able to offer, okay,
yeah,
now you could imagine it with what do you want to, what do you want the outside to look like? What do you want to plant
right.
here? What do you want to, and usually from my experience, every time we've moved, year one is about trying to get the flow. You might have an idea for the flow, but you're always kind of tweaking. I keep stubbing my toe on that stupid table or whatever. It's got to move to a different section. So you're fine tuning that whole first year. Year two comes around and you're like, everything's dead outside. I need to plant some flowers. It's time to take this seriously.
I know, right?
And so that's another kind of area that
Oh
we
yeah,
have, is because it is part of what we're already doing for the service side, is connecting those dots for usually for just from a compliance standpoint, you're doing potted plants instead of shrubs and things, but that's a very easy
mhm,
change kind of on our system. But yeah, I think that consumers really want more involvement in being able to use it as a tool. That's really what we imagine. I know that right now, we are in the craze of all things AI. And so everyone's, okay, but this is fast and this is easy and let's go. And it's pretty. And the deal is though, so much so right now, we are definitely using machine learning and AI to be a part of what our process is. However, from what we're hired to do, it would not be MLS compliant. There's so much creative structural liberty that's taken in the AI stuff. And
yeah,
so of course that photo looks better. It's a 15-foot vaulted ceiling, they completely changed the structure. Those are brand new windows. This is no longer the same house. And
yeah,
that's something that was why it was so important to
yeah,
take the 2D to 3D images as they are structurally, to
right.
keep it the same so that people can really figure it out. Otherwise, well, that's just a pretty inspiration picture and go to
Yeah,
Pinterest for
and it's
that.
not real. Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
not real, and it's not nothing that can be. Yeah, and I get it. I mean, like we're a data platform, right? So we're using AI kind of for ourselves. It's not like to interact with the public. It's like on
Right.
our data capture stuff, we use AI, right? So
Yeah.
we're using it to do that.
Mhm.
And over time, I mean, machine learning is not going anywhere. We're
Right.
all going to have like our person that we create. I think that's the next thing too. I told somebody this the other day. It was like, remember back in the day when you had to go get a domain name and you were so
Yeah.
worried about your domain name? Well, now we're going to have like our AI names. Like
Uh,
there's Alexa, so nobody else can have Alexa, right? So now
right.
like you have to come up with we got to go get our names now.
Yeah.
Introduce them to the world before somebody else takes the name, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh,
Oh, that's
so funny. but it's just going to happen. But yeah,
True.
it's that, and so I'm more worried about the data and making sure that the data is right. That the AI will always be, it's not going away.
It's
It's
not,
it's
I
going
know.
to be there forever.
Yeah,
And so then they can AI is only as good as the data it's interacting with. So you got to make sure the
absolutely.
data is right. If you
Right.
do that, then AI can just play all day long. I mean, it's a data set. What does it
Yeah.
care? You know?
Yeah.
But yeah, for
Oh,
sure.
I love that. That's so true. And it's very much trying to connect the dots in a way that actually is useful and helpful instead of just, this is a really fun party trick, you know? So
That is so funny. Yeah, I
that's
can ask
that's
it
what we're
stuff
trying to
and
avoid.
it tells me all the wrong answers. Isn't that
Yeah.
cool?
Yeah. We had a presentation recently, and so people were allowed to submit questions while we were talking. And one of the one of the questions was, I have 3 different AI tools on my phone. What makes you different? And I was like, I have so many questions
I
just
know.
with that. What are you doing? First of all, what are they? And what are you using them for? What is it? What is your career? Because
Yeah.
my son, I feel like he's 8 and has played around with different AI face generating, like silly, like we have on Instagram or TikTok or any of the things where it's like,
Snapchat.
that's just fun. Yeah, exactly. So what, I think it's such a buzzword, but it's also such an interesting dynamic of figuring out how to navigate,
Yeah. And
very late.
lots of things people will label it AI, but it's not really AI, right?
Yeah.
If you know what I mean? Like, so predictive analytics is not AI, right? I
Mm,
mean, no, like it's
yeah.
like asking now machine learning, and it learns to like ask, you can ask questions and it can process from like whatever you're asking it, and it kind of understands what the hell you're saying, and then it gives you an
Yeah.
answer back. Well, that of course, right?
Yeah.
It learns what you're going to look over time, and it learns and it has its own kind of
Mhm.
thing. But like pulling reports that predict certain things, that's not AI. I mean, that's just predictive analytics. It's just like it's data, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know. But yeah, so I just find it funny. But I honestly truly think that nobody really knows what AI can do. And
Mhm.
so anything cool gets labeled it, right? And so there's like lots of stuff that you're doing with the virtual staging and being able to move something. That's visual representation, right? Is AI doing that for you? Or is it just you're learning to now AI might be taking that 2D image and turning into a 3D image,
Yes.
right? And so you
Yeah.
don't have to do it on your own. So that's
Right.
cool,
Yeah.
right? But it's just so interesting to see what it can do.
It
So
really.
yeah, so the cool thing was so talk about your patent process. How's that like that is that brain damage too?
You know, so far in it was like 2 weeks of very intensive. My CTO and I just like trying to navigate the best way of communicating all of what we've done. And so getting the little graphs together and getting all the descriptive, all of
Yeah.
that. So, and trying to get it in the correct formatting. Now though, we get to engage with an attorney, and then that part is like more, it's a different process. To me, it feels a lot less intense because it's on him. We get to trust
Yeah.
that process
Oh
there.
yeah. Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, so the beginning, obviously getting to that point of when you're finally trying to figure something out, um and going through that journey has been wild. But also then I think there's so much advice, and this goes into a little bit of the female founder kind of thing. There's wonderful advice out there, and so many people with like opinions from a place of knowing their journey and their story.
Mhm.
And we had different points of people saying to us like, I don't know, I think that's a little bit of a rabbit to chase. I don't know that you really need to do that, because tech is changing so quickly. And you know by the time it's finally available and ready, then what was like, it could be obsolete. So why pursue it? For us, it felt like a line in the sand to do. It's just like this, especially the more we as through the process. And he's like, this is a competition online for people to try. Like, I
Exactly.
think we should patent this,
Yes. I
I
know.
think that's something that we should do.
Yeah.
So it's been an interesting journey from that standpoint. I just think for us, it was really important to, to get here. So yeah, now it's kind of a long waiting game of navigating the next kind of stages of things. But
Mhm.
I'm proud that we've done it. It feels really,
Yeah.
that feels good.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I totally get it because people will naysay your idea. You have an ugly baby. What do you think? Why are you doing that? Like that's dumb. I had a VC told me that. I had a VC said, like, are you even in commercial real estate? I went, yeah, buddy, for the last 20 years. Where have you been?
Yeah.
You have not been in commercial real estate.
I
Well, I talk to them all. I'm like, whatever. But you do.
talked
You
to them
have
all.
and you have to like kind of not listen to know and you face it, right? Because you second guess yourself, right? You go, there's doubts and being a founder is flipping hard, man. It's and
It's
it's
so true.
horrible. And
It's
then, you get encouraged, you can get encouraged by people that come alongside your CTO comes along, that's a great idea. And you can get other people that encourage you. And then you get those other people that are like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life. Right. And you're just like, well, what planet are you on? Like you just have to realize and know in yourself that you're doing the right thing because it'll get that way. And especially, and it's always some stupid dude too. I'm sorry. It's never a woman that comes to you and go, yeah, that's like the stupidest thing I've ever heard of. No, so like she would kind of like take a second and try to figure out what are you trying to do, and let me figure it out and take an approach of like really trying to understand you. But guys are like, oh, that's just dumb. And I'm
Uh-huh.
like, no, I'm sorry, guys. I just picked on you. But it's so true. It is so true.
It's definitely interesting for sure.
Yeah. And recognizing value. And it is true. Like your experience, if you've not been in the real estate game in the last 6 months, you are not with it. You do not know what's going on. You've already lost your edge. If you're not staying up with everything that's happening all the time, and that's what the cool thing about being in prop tech is you have to. Like
You
you
have to.
cannot.
Yeah.
You live and breathe it. You understand what everybody's doing, what technology is doing over here, like what we're doing. That's why I started the Proptech Council so people could get connected to one another so that
Yeah.
we can kind of collaborate and help each other along the cycle, right? And because it was happening in silos in the US and it was like silly.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I was looking on LinkedIn the other day. There are 70 prop tech companies in Austin that I didn't
Wow.
even know they were here. I
That's
had
incredible.
I know. And that's in
Yeah.
Austin, right? And
Yeah.
then there's some in the DC area. And of course, we all know there's a ton in New York, but
Sure.
but like in Austin, there were
Yeah.
70. And
That's amazing.
I'm like, holy crap. So then
Yeah.
I'm just like, okay, well, we got to get connected and we got to start, but that was even after I started the US Council and I was just like, just getting people in and in 6 weeks, we have 400 members in 6 weeks.
That's
Like
incredible.
it's
Yeah.
nuts. And because everybody was kind of craving, we need this ecosystem. If we're
Yeah.
going to, prop tech is such a new industry. And if we're going to forge ahead and do the right things and collaborate and go further faster,
Yeah.
you got to do it together, right? I mean, like, and I faced that, and you maybe faced it too. And I don't know if it was because I was a girl. I think it was just because in prop tech early, it was just a bunch of guys. And so I would go to them, and it was this like a novel idea, like, hey, I don't want to recreate the wheel. If you've already done it, let's just sing kumbaya and go make money together. Like, I'll just partner with you. We'll integrate, right? I was like the great integrator. I was like, oh,
I love that.
we can figure it out. My CTO's like, Amy, stop it. He's like,
Yeah,
no, no,
I'm
no,
off for
slow
challenge.
down. You don't know what you're saying. Stop. Integration.
That's so great. I love it.
Yeah,
Def-
yeah, I mean, you have to. Like, it's just kind of
Yeah.
silly.
It,
Yeah.
well, the thing that's been fascinating to me is that, especially for both industries that we're doing this connection point. Um, and the more that I learn about the furniture industry, most of the furniture companies that exist have been like family owned for over 100 years. you know, so there, who you know and how you're connecting with them and what it's, and that can be very similar to real estate. You know, these are, my grandmother was a real estate agent, and then now my dad is a real estate, and I'm going to be a real estate agent, you know. And so sometimes it's been really fascinating with as much growth has happened, you know, really in the last couple of years within real estate. There's still such a, you know, handshake, in person, hand holding kind of dynamic to what's happening. And it can be really interesting in talking to founders in tech that are not prop tech. And they can kind of have this, well, go faster, go, you know, and I'm like, we've got people writing on their yellow tablet, like handwritten notes for who to connect with, trying to get them to like jump. This is too big of a jump. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know,
You don't get it. Yeah.
so
I
they have
know.
an actual Rolodex sitting on their desk, you
Yes.
know?
Right. Yes.
So
I know.
we have to find kind of these baby steps of how to connect that. And we really do come against a good bit of that with virtual staging in particular. The more we have conversations though with them and explain like, you know, we're MLS compliant, so we are paying attention to the rules so that they're not getting fined. But then B, you know, there's so many transactions, especially since COVID, that are happening sight unseen. You know, offers are being accepted sight unseen. So then why spend the $7,000 for the installation, the possibility of messing up your floors and your walls? Who knows if this furniture is even clean? I
Right.
know that's not nice to say, but it's true.
Sure.
And does it even cater to showcase the home in a really great way versus, you know, we can be so home specific. I mean, we can put what looks like $75,000 in a single room in the advertising images for like a tenth of the cost.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You know, so
I know.
it's been a really interesting, connecting the dots though to this is real furniture that could be purchased. For some reason, that in particular has been a powerful moment of like, oh, okay, that makes more sense than just kind of virtual staging, and we'll see what we get,
I
you
mean,
know.
I'm almost so I've not owned a home in a while, and I'm a real estate investor, right? So
Yeah,
I know where the market is today, and prices
yeah,
are going to come down because you know the interest rates are kind of high, and so I'm waiting
yeah,
patiently. But I don't know how to decorate a house, so I would look at it and go, okay, I just want the furniture too. Like
yeah,
I want everything, right?
yeah.
You know, and then
That's
I think, you know
purchase.
what else is I think it's the Airbnb thing. People go to a house that's already furnished. They don't have to deal with it. They don't have to put it up. And somebody spent the effort and they're like, yeah, I really like that. Okay, we'll go stay there. You
Yeah,
know, and it's more about
exactly.
furnishings and it's all that other stuff. So who wants to move furniture? Oh, shoot me in the face, right? I mean, you don't want to go through that. You just want to bring your clothes and your bathroom stuff and move it,
Move
right?
in. It's so true.
Yeah,
That's really interesting. And that would be fun if more homes end up being furnished
I would,
prior, you know, to like,
I
I've
bet you.
had several conversations with um different women in town in particular that have moved. So actually, this is a fun fact. The most of the homes sold last year, majority of them were women buying the homes independently. And
Yeah.
I just think that that's so great. We also know that 85% of purchase decisions are made by women. And that's been a really fun trend that
You want another fact?
I would love
Back
one.
in 1971, the day I was born in 1971, women couldn't sign on a mortgage by themselves.
That's incredible.
And now, yeah, and so now we
To
come
see where, I mean, it's incredible to
yeah,
see that really was awful. And
yeah,
but it's
I
incredible.
know. And it just blows me away. And
Yeah.
my mom was in that, right? My mom was 21 when she had me. She couldn't sign for a mortgage. My grandmother couldn't, they had to have a husband or a man on there and they couldn't sign on a mortgage. I was like, that's like the like insane to me. But
It's
yeah,
insane.
for sure. Yeah,
It's
yeah.
insane. It's encouraging to see we've made
And we
some
come, you know, we come around. We're getting there.
you're getting there.
As girl power, we're buying the houses. All right, let's go.
I love it. No, it really is. It's amazing. I think that one of the other things that is really interesting and trending is obviously um any and every kind of green option that you could have. And so one of the things that I feel like we're getting to tap into is buyers really do want to be educated prior to figuring out what choices, and furniture waste is massive. It's just massive. And I feel like so much of that is sort of this instant need fix, I
Mhm.
just need something because I want to be able to put my coffee cup down when I'm sitting on the sofa. So whatever it is, and it can fall apart in,
Yeah.
6 months.
Mhm.
Um, but I do feel like, I actually, Pinterest was said to say pinners are planners. And so pinners, I just really loved that. But I think that we do want to make educated decisions. And if you could visualize it in your space and you're like, oh, but I love how that looks, maybe now you're willing to delay gratification and
Right. And
wait
not just buy something because you like are
because
being
it's
like,
just a fix for
it's a
this
It's a
moment.
Walmart special and it's
It's
gonna
a
fall apart in like 2 days. But
yes,
I can put my
exactly.
coffee cup there.
Yeah.
And then I hate
Exactly.
it. At 5 seconds after I build the thing and put it together, I immediately hate it,
Yeah.
but I can put my coffee cup there.
Right. And
Yeah.
then because it was a Walmart special, you're like, well, I could try and sell it on Facebook Marketplace, but no one's really going to buy it. And then enter furniture waste,
Yeah,
right? Like it's,
exactly.
it's,
No, it's
ex-
so true.
it's
It is.
exactly that moment. I think we want to have connection to the home that we're building if we had some tools to be able to do that. And I just, from every stage of moving to apartments when I was younger to then married and still kind of living in apartments, but doing those, it always was very important to me to set up home and to feel inspired in the space that I created. It just felt good. And friends would say, why on earth? We lived in LA for a while, and that's everyone's constantly moving or they're ready to get their big gig. So everything stays in boxes just in case they have to move across the country for, whatever.
Whatever.
And so it'd be like, wow, you actually put pictures on the walls and you did this or you did that. And I'm like, yeah, and it wasn't necessarily the most fancy, but it felt like home. And I think that if I had had a tool like this during those seasons, and even friends of mine, if they could just visualize these
Mm,
small changes to your space, all of a sudden now it's creating this home feeling that
right.
wouldn't have been there before. And I know that's all very touchy feely for prop tech, but it is so much of what, from a real estate perspective, you're selling this
Yeah.
like, this is your dream home and this is your, where you'll raise your children or you'll have graduation parties or you'll, book club or whatever. Um,
Mhm.
so I don't know. I think this is so much about connecting
No,
them.
it's completely prop tech because every buying decision is an emotional one.
Yeah.
It's very much an emotional decision, no matter if it's commercial real estate or if it's a home. Like I've been
Yeah.
in commercial real estate for 21 years, and the buyers would sell just they got tired of dealing with it. And it wasn't necessarily the best time to sell, but they would do it because they got tired and it was draining on them or whatever. And I'm like, why are you selling them? Okay, all right, I'll buy it.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
but it's always been an emotional decision. So if you can connect the dots and build emotion into, that's why they were selling, is because they
yeah.
can, oh, this would be really cool and I would be really comfortable. And I think for a lot of people, you're spending more time in your homes anyway.
Mhm.
For me, I can't work unless I'm comfortable. Like I have to have my environment just right. And everybody's in a home office. And so you just gotta, the chairs gotta fit right, the lights gotta be right. I gotta be, and sometimes I'll get up and move because I'm just not comfortable. And
Cool.
I'll be like, I can't work. Just can't physically get anything done. And I get brain block or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
So yes, if you can create your spaces like in your house and like, oh, this would be my office. And let me, I could do this with it. And I could
Yeah.
have, my 4 screens and my
Yeah.
all this other stuff that I need, right? Or whatever
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
But it's about creating your comfort level in an environment. And yeah, and any sort of tool you can do that with is awesome for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, and
I
I can
love.
see totally why they were selling the houses for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. It really, it's been fascinating to see, at points we're having more real estate agents coming to us and like, oh, we paid for these lots of money for these 3D environments to be created and we hate them. It just looks so bad. And most of the time what happens is the 3D environments, everything looks like doll furniture in the space. And so
Mhm.
then you're like, well, you can't actually fit 16 pieces of furniture in that room. Like, I don't know what they're
Okay.
doing. So that is one of the areas like our the when it's creating the 3D environment, it's checking things like some of the ADA compliance, door handles, height,
Mm,
all of that to kind of,
that's
it's
cool.
not 100% accurate, but it's pretty dang close to
Yeah.
understanding like what the feel of the space should be and the sizing of things, because all of that makes a really big difference too.
Yeah.
So, it's definitely interesting. Um, yeah.
It's so awesome. So did you win the competition? I want to know. Did you win?
No, no, we didn't. But it was a great conversation, and there were a lot of different points to kind of be there. I think being um being a female founder, one of the things is so HomeKind was accepted as one of the portfolio companies with Capital Factory.
Nice.
And on the evening that I presented, I was the only woman. And everybody else that was speaking, it was, drones and cybersecurity and all these really different AI components of things, and all very like sexy tech world. And then I jump up and I'm like, I want you to use your imagination today. And that was kind of the starting point. So it can kind of feel abrupt in some ways, I think, in those particular environments. And
Oh, yeah.
um, yeah, so I am navigating this path of being a founder in startup world and finding Proptech. I think that, finding your kind of crew and your tribe of like who connects and understands where you're coming from is certainly helpful, for sure.
Yeah, yeah, no, for sure. So have you raised money yet? Are you in raising money? Is that
We
where you
are we are in raising money. We started a couple months ago and we're almost halfway through our raise.
are?
And so
Awesome.
we're still having all of those great conversations.
Takes forever. It just does. It takes forever. I get it. I haven't raised for my company yet, but I was in private equity for a very long time. So yeah, it honestly, truly, you're always raising as a CEO.
Yeah.
You never not raising. You're always talking to investors. You're always putting out information. You're always marketing yourself and your brand. So people, when you do go ask eventually, then it's like, oh yeah, sure, no problem. Right. You're always marketing yourself. You're always doing this. And it's a never ending cycle of stuff. And because I did private equity for like 12 years. And so
I
even though I
actually,
didn't have a deal, I was still telling them I was raising money. I was always raising money. Right.
wow, yeah. I'm curious on that. Okay, so if you're open to it, I would kind of love to hear the differences between private equity and venture capital
Well,
and angels. I mean, I know that
yeah. Yeah. So I
angels kind of
tried.
meaning,
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think the definition shifted last year, especially because nobody could raise anything last year. I mean, it was horrid. And like an angel investor became a seed investor. I'm like, that's not what angel's about, y'all. Angel's supposed to be, I got an idea and it's really, really cool. And you go, yep, you're right. And they give you money, right? The angel investors wanted you to have revenue. I'm like, you're not an angel investor, weirdo. Like, that's not what angel is. That's not for 20 years what angel's been, but
mm,
okay.
mhm,
But it's so I think it's the I haven't raised for software. I mean, I did private equity for real estate, so that's kind of what I've been doing, and it's a
yeah,
very different valuation model, and but I would liken it to like syndications in real estate versus fund managers, right? And so fund managers have mandates that they have to meet. They have LPs but in VC land, those mandates are really, 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 really long, right? In real estate, they're not that long. You got to churn and burn in real estate and on the fund level. You have to get in and out within 8 years. You have a mandate to sell a property with every 5 years. I mean, it was always very, very scripted. And I know because Rob Adams he's on my advisor board. He's like on been in VC land forever and a day, he'll tell you, it's like, no, they'll give you, the investors will put in money into a fund, and then they will give it, they don't expect to see it back for 10 years, right? If they get it back, right? Like it's part of it. You're just playing, it's the lottery. You just, one of these will hit and you'll get 100x, and, but you're spreading your money around. And that's kind of what investors that invest in VCs are like. But what I found when I was trying to raise last year was, and I was talking to VCs, was we got the you're too early, you're too early, you're too early. And so you're really, and there was really no early stage VC last year that I could find, right? And I hate to say this, but I will. The women ones, the women led ones, they don't know Proptech. They don't know the first thing about Proptech. And so you can't go to these women based VCs because they just don't know the space. Right. And I hate to say that because I wanted to go to one. I was like, yes, I want women to invest in me, and I want a woman led VC because I was a fund manager and I wanted a woman thing to invest in women. Right. And they were trying, they just didn't know the space. And so and rightfully so, we're going to invest in it because they didn't know the space. Right.
Yeah.
So what I found to seem to work, and kind of where I'm at now, is I've got a gamut of folks that are interested at the moment, but there's
Congrats.
yeah, I've got some folks that are willing to bet a big chunk and give it to me in tranches, right? And then and you should meet them too because they're looking for women, but it's a bunch of guys and they get it.
Okay.
You understand?
Awesome.
I'll introduce them to you.
Love
Uh,
that.
and then there's somebody who's willing to give me a little bit now, just kind of what you need. You just need a little bit and you keep going, keep going, that kind of thing. And then I've got somebody who wants to acquire my company. So I've got like the
That's incredible.
spectrum. Yeah, I don't. Yeah.
Yeah.
But this is the deal. Like they're all just talking. Like they're just talking. Like, and then I've been in private equity a long time. Everybody will tell you, you smile and you encourage it and you all this other stuff. And you're like, till the money hits the bank, I don't believe you.
We'll see.
We'll see. It's so great. I'm so excited. Yes, I'm so excited. Till the money hits the bank. So that's what you have to be though. You don't want to discourage them like, oh yeah, you're so full of crap. You don't say that to their face, but then you're in the back of your mind, you're going, it's not real. It's not real. It's not real. Because I've just had all those stories so many times. Like investors will like feed you a whole line of crap. You get there to the day and you're counting on it. And then they don't show and they don't give you the money. Right. And you're just like at the end, ninth hour, like, well, how do you do that to people? But they will. And so it's like, yeah, that's why I'm like, it's not real till the money's in the bank.
It's the same. I mean, and that's probably a very prop tech, that real estate mentality,
Mhm.
any deal can fall apart in that waiting game of,
Yeah. Yeah.
I even was having a conversation with a banker recently, and she's new to what she's doing. She was really sweet. But one of the things we got to talking about is that in between season when you've placed an offer, it's been accepted, and it's like you're in that in between before close. And people
Mhm.
get so excited and they're like, oh, this TV is gonna look great in my living room. And so I'm gonna finance it and mess
Oh,
up their
yeah.
deal. And
Yeah.
then now they either have to figure out how to come up with money at close, or they have to or they bought something too big and it's
Mhm.
completely ruined their deal. And that was something that it was interesting having conversation with her. She's young, so she hasn't been through real estate buying process before. And she's like, are you serious? I had no idea. I'm like, yeah, it's another reason that I feel like what we're doing can hopefully be a powerful tool of like patience. I'm seeing what we're going to have. I'm preparing for it. I'm excited about it, but I don't
Well,
have
then
to.
it turns into yeah, there you go. And you know what? Then you can, oh, I have another idea for you. They're like a baby shower. They can make a list of everything's going to have something. They have a housewarming thing. Somebody can buy them a thing
Buy their
for their
things.
house, and you can
Yeah,
have a little registry for it's our new house, and the parents can
love
go in there.
that.
See?
Yeah,
Totally
it's
do that. Like, hey, we went and designed our whole space. We're going to close on this day,
I
hopefully, cross
love
our
that.
fingers. And we have a registry if you want to buy us a housewarming gift. There you
Yes.
go.
Then they're not messing
I want like
up.
10% of your company, I'm just saying. No, I'm kidding.
I love it. I love it. See, but
Yeah.
this is one of the things that I enjoy so much about being in an industry that we're both familiar with, but then also I do think that women are just very collaborative.
Yeah.
It's like I will know within minutes of meeting someone, I'll know her favorite store or all these things about her. I might not know her name, but I
Yeah,
know,
yeah, 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 for
we've
sure.
we've
Or
solved
I'll
some
rename you.
problem.
Yeah, I'll rename you. It'll be start with a K. That I'll get close, but I'll rename you. You'll be Kelly or something. Like I do that. Like it's
Right?
I'll know your kids, I'll know your phone number, I'll know everything else about you, but I'll rename you. It's like a weirdo thing. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I love it. But it's very collaborative. I think that I don't know, we're always kind of in this space of solving problems, and that may be a very strong statement, but I know for my relationships that I have and the female relationships that I have, we're seeing each other, and within 10 minutes, we've heard what has been the worst thing lately and then now we're working on solutions,
Exactly.
what do you do? Oh, I have the best hair product for that. Or go to this chiropractor, you should try them. Or I
Yeah,
have this going on, like
yeah.
we just, it's sort of the way, I guess, that we're wired, or I don't know,
Mhm.
but,
It's why it's called the mother of invention, not the father of invention, right? I
ugh,
mean, it's seriously,
love
right? Like
that.
that. I mean, it's true. Like it's like we're very practical and we're like, okay, what you got, what you need, let me help you, see how I can help you.
Yeah.
And I think it's just the heart of a woman necessarily. It's just to help, right? And so how can I help you and be very, but it's really cool. Yeah. And there are not, you and I are one of the very few Proptech women founders out there. I know some others, but yeah, we are, what the 10th of 1% that are Proptech founders. So it's kind of cool. Yeah.
That's wild and really cool.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Challenge accepted.
Exactly. I know. Well, this has been such a cool conversation. And you thought, well, there's no way we're going to chat for an hour. And look at us. Where are you?
Look at us. Well, this has been a lot of fun. I really
Yeah,
appreciate
for
this
sure. So
conversation.
tell people how, especially if they're investors, so how do they get a hold of you?
Yes, you
Yeah.
can find us at homekind.com.
Hmm.
And if you want to get a hold of me, you can Kate at homekind.com.
That's
So
awesome.
it's
All
nice
right.
and
Well,
simple.
look at that. It was been so good. And this will be up soon, but thanks for coming on the show.
Absolutely. Thank you.